Fed up of floor robes, driven to distraction and drowning with doom boxes? Tired of living in chaos? Welcome to Decluttering Untangled, how to declutter when you're overwhelmed, ADHD or autistic. I'm going to help you uncover the secrets to decluttering, no matter what hurdles you face. You'll discover how to declutter, de-stress and transform your world. I'm Heather Tingle, reformed hoarder, neurodivergent declutter queen, and your guide through the maze of mess. Let's get untangled. Hello Untanglers, and welcome to another episode of Decluttering Untangled with me, your host, Heather Tingle. Now, today's episode is a short one, and it's all about how to declutter when you can't focus for long enough and you move from room to room or task to task. So really, you've got two options with this one. You can recognise that it's going to take longer that way, it's not as effective, but work with it, or find strategies to make your focus last longer. And I'm going to go through both of those options with you today, because although one I think is better than the other, they will still work for some people. So one might work better for you than the other. Okay, so your first option, work with the flitting. So if you're a person that pinballs from room to room, and let's face it, if you're busy or if you have ADHD, this is very likely to be you. You can still declutter and organise and zone as you go. And things like learning to take an item from a room each time you leave it, getting into the habit of doing something like that, only picking one thing up. Now, if you've got ADHD, it's highly likely that when you do something, you try and be really, I don't know what the word is. You try and be really efficient by putting lots of things in your hands at once. That's generally what happens. So if you go shopping, you think, I don't need a basket, I'll just get one thing. And then before you know it, you've got an armful of stuff. If that is you, then it's highly likely that this will work for you. So look at each time you leave a room to have something in your hand, and either move to a different room or it's going in a charity bag, for example. And if you're going to work with this way of doing things, so having one thing in a room at a time that needs to move or change or declutter, having dump bins in each room for either moving, so this needs to move to a different room, or decluttering, so a charity bag in each room that you can chuck something into, that makes it really easy for you to put things into those boxes or bags. That will really help you. Look at short, tiny declutters of less than 5 minutes and then really build them into your day. So have a look in your kitchen cupboard, for example, or your utensils when you're waiting for the kettle to boil. You might end up with a cold tea because you got sidetracked, but at least the cupboard will be done by the end of it. Or do something like decluttering your emails or photos on your phone while you're trying to steer clear of the school mums at the school gates. That is all decluttering. It can work really well. Just remember that all decluttering counts to make your life easier. So if you did declutter some emails, it'll mean later on that your inbox doesn't get full. It means finding your photos easier because you put them into albums because you only had 5 minutes at the school gates to start doing it, and then you did it over the course of 3 weeks or 3 months or however long it takes you. It makes your future, it's being your future friend, and it makes your future life easier. So it all counts. And the main thing is to remember, don't start anything big during the flitting around, because otherwise what you'll do is you'll end up with loads of stuff all over the floor in every single room. So try not to hyper focus when you are doing a declutter. You're doing mini ones, really tiny mini ones that don't even feel like a project. They feel like a side quest, something to do while you're waiting on something else happening. That's the best way to do it. Look for individual items to pick up and declutter, which is quite against the way I work, but for some people, it can work really well. And that's when things like challenges, such as remove 5 objects a day for your home, can really come into their own as a strategy for a first sift declutter. So it's a really great starting point, which then makes your home feel more manageable for a proper organised clutter later. It's also likely if your brain is extra frazzled, your executive functioning is non-existent, and you're more likely to do this kind of declutter to start off with, as you just can't process more plans and more things to do. You can't do any more on your to-do list. So look at it as your brain is automatically trying to keep you safe and minimize demands, and look at it that way as a a positive rather than I can't do a proper declutter because I get sidetracked. Look at it as actually, I can't do a proper declutter, but what I can do is lots of mini declutters, which will still make me make progress until I'm ready to do a proper declutter later. It all helps. The second option is to lock yourself into the task in some way. So, for example, keeping your brain busy doing something else at the same time. So I like watching TV while scrolling on my phone. I like having a shower while listening to a podcast. My brain's always got to have two things going on at once. So try it when you're decluttering. So having a TV show on in the background or a podcast on, because when your brain's doubly busy, it works best. Another thing to consider, but you need to be careful, is consider having someone over to help you keep on task. I say be careful because it needs to be the right kind of person. Now, either another person that's got ADHD that understands why your brain's doing what it's doing, because I've got ADHD, but I'm really good at keeping other people on task because it's their tasks, not mine. But it can work and backfire in that you both flit about all over the place. So it depends on the friend. It also needs to be somebody who understands what you're doing and why you're doing it, and someone that you feel comfortable letting into your home. If you don't feel that you've got anybody or you haven't got anyone who can hold you accountable via text message or online, look at body doubling. There are online companies that you can use for matching you up with person at any time in the world, and that you can body double. Now, if you don't know what body doubling is, it's basically, for me anyway, it's being online, maybe on a Zoom call at the same time as somebody else. We say what we're going to do during that session, and then we do it, knowing that the camera is on both of us to make sure that that's kind of keeping us focused and on track. Because let's face it, it's one of those things where you'd be so tempted to like just go away and do your own thing, and you end up scrolling on Facebook, or you end up making a phone call, or you end up messaging somebody back when you're meant to be sitting and doing some work. Whereas if you've got somebody in theory watching you, they don't actually watch you because they're doing their own thing. But just having that other person there for accountability means it's more likely to happen. Now, I do love body doubling. I use it frequently for myself. So rather selfishly, in my membership, we've got 3 body doubling sessions a month. And I use them for me to get things done that I like putting off. So things like reports that I don't like to do or invoicing that I don't want to do. I will do that during those body doubling sessions. But as I'm on Zoom, I can't move away or get distracted. And I've told the group what it is I'm going to get done. And then we come back, and at the end of the hour or 30 minutes, we've done it. And it feels really good. A lot of the time, we've done more than what we thought we were going to do because we've actually stayed productive and stayed focused on that thing. So it can work really well. So definitely check out body doubling. Visual aids like a timer can help keep you on track because you can just think, oh, only 3 more minutes to go, or only 1 more minute to go, or, you can see your progress and you can see the time that you've got left to go, which also makes it more doable. Now, also consider using reminders. And one of my friends said, well, you just put a Post-it note saying, do this. And I was like, no, that will not work for me. If I put a Post-it note on my door, then very, very quickly it will just become part of the door and I won't notice it anymore. So consider using reminders such as repeat alarms on your phone or smart speaker announcements saying, have you still done this yet? Have you done this yet? Every 5 minutes, every 2 minutes, whatever it's going to do that's going to really irritate you. Now, the thing is, whatever it is you're doing has got to be enjoyable, because otherwise you'll just tell the alarm to shut up and you'll carry on doing whatever it is that you were going to do anyway. So look at things like easy wins first that feel easy to do. For example, going around with a bin bag and just picking up the rubbish, or emptying the bin and chucking things in it as you go, rather than a full-on, I've got to do this and I really don't want to do it. Think of something that you think, that'll take me a minute, I'll just get that done. Something that will get you started, and then hopefully your ADHD brain will kick in and I'll go, I'll carry on with that. And then if you naturally flit later, you've at least done the one thing you were meant to do. A bit of a weird one, but psychologically it can work. Putting your shoes on can signal to your brain that you mean business. It does something. Apparently, it makes you, if you are getting to do some work at home, by putting your shoes on, it makes you think that you're going out the house, and it kind of gives you some kind of boost. Now, I don't know the psychology of this, but I have tried it and it does work for me as well. So putting my shoes on and not getting so comfy means that I'm more likely to do it. Sometimes maybe putting your coat on means that you're getting prepared to leave the house. You will get the things done that you're going to do. So give it a try. The other thing you could do is consider something like role playing. And it sounds a bit silly, but pretending you're somebody else and it isn't your home. What would you do if you were that other person? Give yourself an accent, give yourself a uniform, give yourself a different name. Sounds a bit weird, but you could give it a try. So if you're into the am-dram stuff, pretend to be the declutter expert, and you're going to charge, give yourself so much an hour for decluttering your own home, and then actually pay yourself. Why not? And a bit of a daft one, but I thought that would make you smile. So another way you can do it is to lock yourself into the space. And I do actually mean almost literally lock yourself in. So close the door on the room in which you're working, so you can't physically go out of it. Now, sometimes we're so used to opening and closing doors in our homes that we might not do that. It might not be easier to close the door. One of my clients uses a bungee cord across the door frame as a physical reminder that she's meant to stay in the room, and that can work really well. The main thing, though, whatever you choose to do, is reward yourself. And no, not by buying something. So reward your effort. Don't look at what hasn't been done, but say a virtual well done on what you did manage to do. Because beating yourself up about something which you have very little control over isn't conducive for carrying on with it. So big yourself up. If you aim to do 10 minutes, but you only managed 5, yay, well done on the 5. And maybe make the next session 5 minutes or 6 minutes so that you don't set yourself up to fail. I think that's really important. So I hope that's given you some things to think about. Until next time, be kind to yourself. Remember, you're not alone, and keep untangling. Thanks for joining me for today's episode of Decluttering Untangled. If you found anything that I've said today helpful, please do me a favour. Hit that subscribe button or leave me a review. It's like receiving a virtual high five that keeps me going and lets me know that I'm helping real people out there and I'm making a difference. Please remember, you're not alone in this. I'm building a community of fellow untanglers over on Facebook. Just visit the show notes for the link to my free decluttering community. So until next time, remember, you're not alone, you're not lazy, you can untangle your life.